Awesome. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Dispatches from the Front.
We're back.
We're back again. We are here to talk to you today about some market stuff.
Yeah, I mean, there's every time we do this update here, the whole point is that we're using data, but we're ultimately trying to help you guys as buyers, as consumers, as real estate brokers understand what's going on with the market. Because I think the theme of this particular episode is it's not necessarily about what the market, our finances are like necessarily. It's about how we fit into the market, right? So we can't cry about it if our finances aren't where they need to be. What do we need to do to fit into this market? Otherwise, do we need to analyze a different market, become a part of a different market, right? So that's step one, is just pick yourself up. The people that are winning are the ones that are just coming to that realization that it's about how we fit in the market. So that's step one. Would you agree with that?
Yes. And so when you're a buyer, we kind of cover three things with you, right? Three very important things before we get started on our journey, so to speak. The first thing is location, right? Where do you want to live? In downtown Bellingham, core neighborhood, not outskirts.
What kind of
You want
life
to
do
live
you
somewhere
want?
else? Yeah, what kind of life do you want? Amenities, right? So where do you want to live? Second becomes your pre-approval, right, with the lender. What is your budget? More specifically, talking inside that, because rates are low and qualifications are a bit higher than they've been. What is your comfort level as far as a payment, and what is your stretch goal? So if you found the perfect house, what would I go up to versus what am I actually comfortable within my budget? That becomes a really good conversation to have, and oftentimes both of those numbers fall underneath your pre-approval, or sometimes they hit the very max. Yeah, but it's good to talk about. Other thing is, what do you need in a home, right? After you've picked out your location, you kind of generally know what you can afford. How much house do you need? Are you okay with a funky house? Do you need a dialed in normal house? What do you want in a home? And then after that, we start down that pathway.
Yeah, and it's really important, and at least for me personally, when we bought our house, we looked at location 100% first. Doesn't matter. I want to be in these specific areas, or we want to be in these specific areas, and that is a non-negotiable, right? The next piece is, what's the house like? Is it funky, like you said? Is it a normal house? What type of hurdles will we have as a resale client, right? So if we go back on the market in 5 years, what does that look like? What hurdles are people or other buyers going to have when they're looking at our house? And when we analyzed our house, we're like, location, primo. Okay. Step one, we love it. Trails, close to shopping, close to outdoor activities, all sorts of things like that. Good for our lifestyle. We said that's good for us. Pre-approval, probably on the higher end of what we wanted, but we saw this long-term growth, right? We saw that they're building more homes that are similar at a higher price range. We saw that other homes in the same area are just appreciated at a much higher rate than other specific areas. So the last thing we looked at was price. I said, you know what? If we can go up to this number or keep it under this number, it's worth going above asking price. And we went 10% over asking price. And I'm a real estate broker. So I'm trying to explain the way the real estate market works, because when we go back on the market 5 years, 7 years, my wife's listening to this, it's 25 years. And the point is that you pick real estate for the right reason, and you analyze price up to a certain point. And then after a certain point, you have to understand the location will sell itself.
Yep.
And in a house without a bunch of hurdles. So again, like Chris said, location is kind of the corny, the cheesy real estate phrase that we hear all the time, but it's so true.
Yep.
Yeah. Why do people buy in certain areas? They have good schools. They're safe. They have, nice, quiet neighborhoods. They have beautiful views. All of the things that most people want creates more demand.
Yep.
Which means less of those homes go on the market because there's higher retention in those neighborhoods. More people want to buy into them. That is simple, basic economics 101 that leads to more money, your home being valued more, right? So don't get caught up on the $5, $10, $15, $20,000 right now.
Exactly.
I think that's kind of the theme.
But what about just waiting to buy till the market drops?
Oh, Chris, you have a lot to say about when
Yeah.
the market drops, right?
That's always a complicated thing to talk about because I work with a lot of buyers, right? And from the buyer's perspective, yes, I would love for everyone to get homes under list price, especially if we're negotiating inspections and there are things wrong with the home. Of course, we want credits for that. Of course, we want the seller to drop the price. It just becomes kind of tricky. So, inspection aside, when we're first going into a home and we want it for either list price or under, we have to be careful with that because you are dealing with somebody's asset. They're trying to maximize their asset and, doing things that are under what they're asking. If we're accepting the listing price as, the listing agent having done their job well and priced it correctly, and the seller accepting that their asset is worth a certain amount of money, we need to be cognizant of that and go into it knowing that it needs to be a compromise and a win-win for everyone. Second thing is, think about what you're asking for. If you're getting homes for under list price, it either means they listed it incorrectly and someone might have done their job wrong, so to speak, right? Or you're asking for some sort of large economic issue to have occurred. I mean, we talked lightly about the recession, right? Home prices dropped, which means home values dropped, which means sellers lost their behinds on these homes. Their asset that they thought was worth money became a lot less. That was a really bad problem, and it had other things like, people lost their jobs during that time and defaulted
Interest
on
rates went up.
mortgages,
Yeah.
interest rates went up. So, when you're asking for homes to devalue, there are repercussions that happen with that, and there are big events that need to occur in order to lead to that. And from the buyer's perspective, getting a deal, it seems like a good thing. But on the flip side, as a seller, when you have assets in your life that are becoming of less value, let's say it's stocks in your retirement account and all of a sudden they drop by 20%, you're not going to be happy about that, and it usually means there's a problem. So, we just need to think about it from both perspectives. It's not like you're going into a grocery store and getting a hot deal or on a sale item, right? This is a home, and that has a lot more weight behind it.
Right. Absolutely. And if you've been watching all of Tiffany's market updates, you'll see on the graph that yes, market appreciation has been huge since 2011, 2012, 2013. However, if you look at the far right part of the graph, the most recent data, you'll see that oh my god, it's still going up by 21%. It's still increasing over the last year by 21%, right? Which is a big deal. And even if it goes up by 10%, that's still a really, 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 really good asset, and it's a really good investment. So just remember that where you're buying at right now is a leapfrog point for the next comp to go on the market, and use yours to increase your value. So just think big picture. Don't get to, I mean, look at the details, but don't get too caught up in the details. Don't trip on dimes to get the dollars. And that's what we're thinking about, the big picture.
Yeah.
And thank you for joining us on Dispatches from this week. Chris and Leo from the studio, giving it to you the real way, which is analyzing the data and what's going on with micro trends in the market.
We'll see you guys next week.